Hello, this is Jonathan, CTO of Thinstall, and today I'm going to demonstrate how you can use Thinstall to run various different versions of Internet Explorer simultaneously on the same desktop. And this has been a big problem for web developers and companies that use web-based applications that depend on specific features of different versions of Internet Explorer. Without Thinstall, it's not possible to have multiple versions of IE installed at the same time. But I'm going to show you how we can do that using Thinstall here. So I'll start here with a clean desktop of Windows 2000. Windows 2000 comes with IE5, as you saw there in the dialog box. And I'll use this machine as a reference and use Thinstall Setup Capture application to take a snapshot of what that machine looks like before we've installed IE6 and then again after we've installed IE6. So Setup Capture will capture the changes to the desktop that were made by IE6 and allow us to create this virtual package automatically. It's quite an easy process to do. So after I finish the first snapshot, I will install IE6 and run that from the web. The process is a bit longer. I've sped up in the video, cut it out some of the laborious wait times. As you can see here, we're jumping to the end of the IE6 setup, and then we would have to reboot the computer at this stage to finish up the IE6 installer for this Windows 2000 machine. Our Setup Capture application will automatically resume after we reboot the machine, and we can take the final snapshot to get a capture of Internet Explorer 6. There's the Setup Capture application. Automatically rebooting gives us the option to continue on or to start a new capture. We're going to continue on here. And at this point we've finished installing IE6, so we can finish the final process, which takes a second snapshot and allows us to save it to a location on our disk. We could also save it to a network share. For demonstration purposes, I'll just save it to the local desktop. Once we've captured this project, we can actually move it around to different desktops and rebuild it in other locations. It's now in an independent project format that isn't tied to any machine. The project structure, as you can see here, has all the original files. There's a simple build script that you can use. We use a build automation so you can maintain large numbers of packages. Running the build script produces a bin directory much similar to as if you were using a C++ compiler compiling object code into binaries. In this case, our binary is a virtualized application which contains both the Thinstall runtime, the virtualization framework, and the original files for our IE. I can copy this project to a network share and run applications off of network shares. So all that is needed is really those exe files, but I'm going to copy the entire project to a network share here. Once I've saved it there, other developers could rebuild the application if I wanted to tweak DLLs or settings, or we can run the exes directly on other machines, and any machine that runs that compiled bin exe file will be able to use IE6. After I've done that, I'm resetting the machine back to a clean state. So we've gone back to a machine that has only IE5. We're looking at Internet Explorer 5 here. And just to show running two versions of IE at the same time, I'm going to go to a simple browser page called the acid test, which is used to test Internet browsers for compliance with various web standards that are out there. So here's what that page looks like with IE5 that's installed on the desktop. I'm going to browse to the network share and run our IE6 virtualized version. You notice I didn't have to install anything on this desktop. It just starts up instantly from that network share. It's that fast. I can browse to the same page using IE6, the virtualized version, and we look at the help dialog. You can see that we have two versions running at the same time, and the page rendering for this acid test looks different between IE5 and IE6. So IE5 here is running installed locally on the desktop, and IE6 is running from a virtualized package on a network share. And those files from the network share actually stream onto the desktop on demand as they're needed. So if you have large packages, it can start up instantly, even though there may be large data files in that package. Here's another example of looking at the differences between IE5 and IE6. We can go to a web page, Google Maps, where it relies much heavily on newer browser features to scroll around and allow you to access more advanced browser functionality. As you can see there, that works as expected for IE6, and then just keeping that running, we can swap over to an IE5 web browser and see what Google Maps looks like at that page. IE5 has a number of limitations, and Google actually does not support any of that feature functionality on IE5. So we go to the same web page. We're not able to dynamically zoom in or scroll around the web page. We can zoom in by using HTML references, but this is old browser technology. So this is a demonstration of how you could look at two different web pages, or if you had corporate apps that are based on different versions of IE. It's a very easy way of giving users access to specific apps without having to modify your desktop in any way. When we ran that IE6, we didn't have to make any registry changes or any file system changes to the desktop. What I'm going to do now is show you that we can do the same thing with IE6 and IE7. Here we're looking at Office XP, or Windows XP, sorry. And on the desktop we have by default IE6 installed. But I can create a similar package with IE7, run that simultaneously. So we're looking at a desktop now where IE6 is installed natively, and IE7 is going to be run from a virtualized package. Again, going to the acid test page, we see the same rendering we saw before for IE6. We pull it up with IE7, and it looks a little bit different. Here's the running virtualized IE7. Just to compare what the two renderings look like for the acid test, I'm running two different browsers at the same time. And once again, no desktop changes at all. Thinstall does not have a client that you need to install on your machine. It doesn't have a server component that you need to install to get that streaming functionality. You can see here in the About dialog, we have both IE6 and 7 running simultaneously. Okay, well this concludes the demonstration of Thinstall using IE6, 7, and IE5 all at the same time.